Hi everyone, I'm Jeff Pinkman. Welcome to the Academy. I wanted to, today we're going to talk about 5 tips on how to develop skill for pitching and hitting over the course of the winter. And I've been reading recently the Little Book of Talent written by Daniel Coyle. He also wrote The Talent Code. And it's a really intriguing book. It's something that I believe all athletes, baseball, softball, whatever sport that you're playing, should really look into this book. It's called The Little Book of Talent, and written by Daniel Coyle, and it's 52 tips on how to develop skill. And so this is the second time I'm reading this book now, because now I'm starting to tweet the book out, kind of daily little tweets about different aspects of training skills and stuff. So you can follow us on Facebook. You can like us on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter at Pinkman Baseball. Please visit our website, pinkmanbaseball.com. And you can take a little more in-depth look about what we're doing and how we're doing things here at the Pinkman Baseball Academy. So, but today, 5 tips on developing skill for pitching and hitting, and these are going to be fairly universal. So they seem fairly basic, seems fairly simple, but it's these little tips and these ideas that are really going to help players grow at whatever age group. I've had players today in lessons ranging in age from 9 years old all the way to 15 years old. And if players can really adhere to these simple tasks and these simple steps, you'll really be able to see their skill level increase and grow throughout the course of the winter training season. So the first one is to buy a notebook. Again, it's something simple, something plain and basic, but buy a little notebook, take your phone, use the notepad on it, but buy a notebook and write things down. Any new skill, any new idea, if you're training with a coach, if you're at practice, when practice is over, write down the drills that you did, talk with the coaches about what you need to improve on, and write it down. My father, John Pinkman, has always preached that if it's not written, it's not real. So if you can't write it down, you can't physically see it, you can't physically stick a note up on your door or on your mirror to remind you of things that you need to do for that day, you need to write it down, process it, put it into your brain, and allow you to be a constant reminder. If you're writing it down, you're able to look back and see what things that you did on such and such a date at such and such a time, how many repetitions, or how much time you spent doing it. But it's very resourceful to be able to have a little notepad, a little spiral binder, a little composition book, or yes, even the notepad on your very expensive iPad or iPhone or iPod. But you want to be able to constantly be able to force yourself to write it down so that you can remember what you did, what you practiced on, and what you want to do, what goals you want to set forth for yourself going forward. Number 2, embrace struggle. While you're practicing, if you are struggling, you need to learn to overall embrace that and figure out what are your challenges. The more you're able to struggle through a skill or struggle through an exercise or something, it forces you to enhance your abilities. It forces you to really enjoy the challenge of being able to develop your skill and increase your abilities, and say, you know what, on December I did this for X amount of repetitions, and I did this for X amount of times, and I was only able to get through a certain amount of repetitions through this process. And then you take a look back in your notebook at the amount of repetitions or the amount of things that you did correctly or what you're now doing later on in January and February, and you'll see that struggle that you had, that challenge that you had early on in your training period is not so difficult any longer. So you need to really learn to embrace the hard things. I had a student today who said, wow, this is really hard. I told him, well, it's supposed to be hard. You've never done it before. And if you can push yourself beyond what is easy and what is simple, to challenge yourself, to struggle, and really have a difficult time in experiencing your newfound skills, then you're going to learn to really embrace those skills as you move forward and as the new season approaches. Number 3 is choose 5 minutes a day of practice versus 1 hour a week in practice. And I see players all the time come in for lessons who are just practicing with us once a week. And they come in for the lesson and they don't practice again until the next time when they have a lesson. And I would rather players spend 5 minutes a day working on a simple task, on a simple skill, on a simple drill, and walk away from that exercise after 5 minutes than them coming in and just spending an hour and then going home and never doing anything ever again. Today for a hitting lesson, I picked 5 drills for a player and I had him do it for 1 minute apiece. That's simple. It's that easy. Take your phone, set up the timer, set the alarm on, so that now when you start, you can do your repetitions. And you know what? I'm going to do 10 repetitions or 15 or 20 or 30 repetitions in that 1 minute. See how many times you can do that skill correctly within that moment of time. And so it allows you to say, you know what? I've got 1 minute to do this. I got 1 minute to win it. But I'm going to do this drill for 1 minute, and I'm going to do it right for 1 minute versus just kind of doing it lazily. And for instance, I have players hit off a tee in the beginning of their lessons. And hitting off a tee on the baseball field or in a softball practice is easily one of the most boring and most painful experience for a lot of young players. So if you give them a task, say for 1 minute, you're going to do the contact drill, or for 1 minute, you're going to do the extension drill, and do that, they know they have a certain length of time, and then they can move on to the next skill, the next drill, or their next practice session. So 5 minutes a day over 1 hour once a week. Number 4, think in images. This is about visualizing. This is about seeing yourself. This is about seeing pictures visually inside your head so that you can see yourself succeed. If you're struggling with certain drills or exercises, perhaps close your eyes and be able to embrace the ability for you to create the image of you doing it and performing the drill correctly, and then visualize yourself performing it with your eyes open, and then actually performing this drill correctly with a ball in your hand or with a bat in your hand. So if you can replay these skills in your brain, if you can replay these skills with your eyes closed, and everything that you do, you're going to give yourself the ability to dig down deeper within your abilities to then bring them out. I was listening to Brian Kane a couple weeks ago, and he had players rehearse the national anthem in practice. And I was thinking back to my playing days, and whenever the national anthem was played, I remember sitting on the foul line, closing my eyes, and as soon as the music began, I remember visualizing myself pitching, seeing myself hit, seeing myself pick players off. I'm left-handed, so I was able to have fun with that, visualizing myself hitting home runs, striking players out, legging out a single, whatever. And I can remember getting goosebumps. I was just sitting there thinking about what I was doing and how I was doing it, so that I can then cross those lines when the umpire says play ball, and I can pitch or I can hit, and I can have already seen myself be successful on the field, so that I can continually to be successful every single day I'm out there. So visualizing, thinking in images, giving yourself the ability to practice without actually practicing while you're sitting there, lying in bed or waiting for that next repetition. If you're working out in partners, if you're working out in a large group and you're waiting for your next turn, give yourself 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds to close your eyes and think about the exercise that you're about to do, the drill that you're about to perform, and give yourself the best opportunity to be able to succeed when you actually have to step on the pitching mound or at home plate. The last one, and I love this one, this is be willing to look stupid. In the Little Book of Talent, Daniel Coyle talks about Wayne Gretzky. And after practices, Wayne, or the Great One, as the hockey players would rather refer to him as, would practice on his own and attempt new stick work, attempt new footwork, and allow himself to trip and fall and slide and stumble and look like he's never been on ice skates before. And you want to stretch and reach beyond your potential and your abilities and make yourself, not make yourself, but, fall over if you're attempting certain pitching drills, or swing and miss at certain pitches because you're trying to make adjustments and you're trying to do different things on the tee or when a coach is pitching to you. But be willing to stretch yourself and introduce new boundaries so that you have you're stretching beyond your limits, you're stretching beyond your ability to do things the way that you know how to do them, but you're doing things the way you don't know how to do them. So then you can incorporate a newer found respect for new skills and new abilities and be able to enhance your opportunities so that from one week to the next, you can impress a coach that you're trying to make his team, or you can compete with other ball players, whether they be older or younger, or just more enhanced or more advanced than you. So, so again, we have number one, buy a notebook, write everything down. Number two, embrace struggle. Don't be afraid to struggle at a drill, knowing that if you give it more repetitions, you're going to be able to succeed later on down the road. Number three, choose 5 minutes a day versus 1 hour a week. Practice on a more regular basis for 5 minutes a day versus just 1 hour, 60 minutes once a week. Four, think in images. Allow yourself to visualize yourself succeeding, visualize yourself producing better results and executions when you're out, whether you're indoors or outdoors. And number five, be willing to look stupid. Don't be afraid to stretch and reach beyond what you're capable of doing, so that, yeah, sometimes you might trip over yourself or fall or look a little silly to others, but in actuality, you're really stepping beyond really what you're capable of so that you can enhance what it is that you want to do. So that's what we got for today. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Jeff Pinkman. I am the president and owner of the Pinkman Baseball Academy here in Northern Virginia. Visit us online at pinkmanbaseball.com. You can tweet us at pinkmanbaseball and even like us and follow us on Facebook. So hope everyone had a wonderful and fantastic holiday over Thanksgiving. We look forward to the December camp sessions and lessons that start up our winter training and process here in December, January, and February. So please, everyone, be safe, take care, and we'll talk to you soon.